My name is David Fuertes. I was born and raised on a sugar plantation. From a youngster, I always was engaged with gardening, and I'm a retired agriculture teacher. I've been teaching for over 35 years.
My name is Leanne Okamoto, and I come from Pahoa. I'm a third-generation farmer.
My name is Jackie Prell, and I'm a farmer.
People call me Drake. I was born and raised on the Big Island.
My name is Joe McGinn. I was born and raised on the island of Oahu. I volunteer at the Bishop Museum. We have a native plant garden, specifically the native food crops.
I'm Mike DuPont. I'm from Hilo. I work for the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'm an extension agent in livestock and pasture management, and I've been introduced to natural farming within the last 6 years of my life.
My name is Sherry Miller, and I live in Hilo of Kaibiki, and I am a tea grower. I got excited about natural farming. I actually started gardening when I was a toddler. My parents worked, and my grandfather was a gardener, and I would toddle behind and help him. He was always trying to figure out how things work and how to make farming a more natural system instead of fighting nature. I met Master Cho, and Master Cho had figured it all out. This was what my grandfather had been looking for his whole life.
My husband and I have 2 farms, one in Kalapana and one in Onamea. 5 years ago we got our second farm, the Onamea farm. It had been pretty much blasted by chemicals for the last 100 years, and the soil was really dead. My husband is a very dedicated organic farmer and was composting and mulching and doing everything he could, but still the plants were struggling, the pests were getting the taro, nothing was thriving. We got introduced to Dr. Park. We went to one of his presentations, but it took us a few months to realize this is something it's so simple, we can do it.
When we first made our first IMO4 pile, we applied it to our nursery bed where we were doing some starts. We did some parsley and poha berry flats, and half of them we put the IMO4 that we had just made, and the other half we used our organic mix. And within 2 weeks we could tell there was a huge difference. The plants with the IMO4s were much greener, vigorous, more root systems, everything.
We started applying the IMO4 to the soil, and it just immediately brought the earthworms back and brought the life back to the soil, and our crops started doing better right away.
In natural farming, one of the main things we use is IMO, which is indigenous microorganisms. And here I have a sample of indigenous microorganisms that I've collected from the forest and mixed with brown sugar so that they're in a stable solution. Then I take this and I mix it with this mill run here, which is basically a bulking agent that makes a bokashi, which is a specialized compost. After the microorganisms have fully populated that, I mix it with equal parts of soil, which results in a mixture like this. As you can see, there's different lighter color variation in here, and those are the microorganisms themselves. About 10 pounds of this in a 100 square foot chicken coop will keep it with no smell and no cleaning. Combined with hay chopped short and these microorganisms, the chickens will naturally turn their droppings into the soil, and the entire chicken coop becomes a living floor based off these wonderful forest microorganisms.
I was a skeptic when I first started, mainly because when Dr. Park came to see me, he told me about this piggery that was in the Philippines. It never needed to be cleaned, there was no smell, and he wanted to build one of these on the Big Island. In Hawaii, under tropical conditions, if you don't clean the pen, guarantee there's going to end up with a horrendous smell. On top of that, you're going to attract flies and other vermin to the piggery, and eventually the pigs will get sick with some kind of disease. They made a spiel to send me to Korea. As I walked into the piggery, I went, wow, this is unreal, because there was about 400 pigs running around. There was no smell, no flies, and the building was cold, even though it was summertime and it was 98 degrees outside. My industry back in Hawaii is dying because of waste management and because of feed. And I've never met anybody else from academia that could solve both problems at the same time. So it's been 30 months so far since the piggery's been built. There is no smell. I have never cleaned the piggery. Not even one shovel of manure has gone out of that pig pen.
Everyone's a natural farmer, whether you know it or not. So if you're doing organic in your compost, you're working with microbes to do that decomposition. If you're doing chemical fertilizer, the microbes are processing the fertilizer before it gets uptaken by the plant. And that's what's doing your digestion. It's what keeps you from stinking and having body odors when you have good microbes. And so we're all doing natural farming. Master Cho has a way of explaining that and kind of quantifying and lining out recipes that are very easy to follow. These are the inputs that we have stored here. Water-soluble calcium for hardening things off. Fermented fruit juice to make things grow good fruits. Fish amino acid too. And I use these to make my animal foods and also on my plants. So this is my fermented animal food. And this is a chicken mix. And in here I have some store-bought pellets and grain. But I also have papaya and some sauerkraut that I mixed in. And also I mixed in the IMO and a bunch of natural farming ingredients to make it smell and taste very good.
I was an FFA alumna, and it really upset me to know that from 30 plus chapters in the state, we went down to 9. And I saw family farms closing down left and right. Our agriculture industry is dying, and we need to do something about it. Just within one generation, there are skills that my parents had, that my grandparents had, that I don't. And that realization scared me. And that's part of my personal mission with natural farming is teaching that cultural-based knowledge that's passed down, that has been lost.
We have the Kahana Noyao program, which is mentoring our students in 8 different areas. 93% of our students that go through our program are in college and retain in college. When they graduate from college, what we need to do is bring them back home and farm back home. One of the gaps is we don't have the land for them to farm when they get out. Many of my former students finish college 4 years and they go, okay, what next? How come I'm back in a golf course?
I can foresee the vision statement that agriculture can be just as valuable as tourism in the state of Hawaii if we do it properly.
I like natural farming because I can produce more calories than I consume. And in typical conventional farming, or if you're using a lot of fossil fuel or tractors, that number is going to be very hard to beat.
It's not only about us, it's the living things below us in the soils that make things happen more than we do. Without those microbes, we find that the fertilizer that we put just get wasted. It has to be the connector.
The biggest benefit for me is the health of our soils, the health of our water, and the health of our people. And I believe natural farming is something that can revitalize our lands, our waters, and our people. And there was one thing that Master Cho said that Dr. Park translated that really resonated with me once I was able to put it into a different context. To hurt the land, it's easy and it's fast. When you apply chemicals or poisons, it can happen like that. To truly heal the land, it takes lots of time, lots of patience, and lots of hard work. But when you get to that point where nature is in harmony, where nature is in balance, that's when you have Pono.